Alrighty, third time is the charm. For those of you who have stuck around, thank you. I apologize for this weirdness. Not really sure what happened. Um, but yeah, let's see if some people roll in who have kind of rolled off on the last one. Really frustrating. So thank you again. We got two people on. I have no idea what's going on with YouTube. It just kind of froze. I disconnected my internet, reconnected, and it looks like it's working now. If it happens again tonight, I have to postpone this and maybe try it a different day. But I did save the last few questions that people asked just with my computer here, so I'm going to address those real quick. All of the Junior thing, that was unfortunate. Hopefully this works this time. I do too. I've never had this happen on a live stream, but I haven't done very many, but I've done some long ones that never happened. So not sure what it is. I'm in the same spot I've always been in terms of internet. So if it happens again, I really do sincerely apologize. Nothing really I can do about it. We may have to postpone it. But as it's working, let's talk about some of the other questions people had. So somebody said, Shinto Dragon, or excuse me, I already answered that one. Todd Watkins said, do you always roll with the red key? And the answer is yes. I actually put the black key away, and I never use it. Even when I go to like service, which I guess I haven't really done my first full service, but anywhere I take it, I don't ever take the black key. I kind of just forget. So you can always turn on valet mode with it. So that's that. Shinto Dragon, you said we missed you at the first Saratoga Sunday. I know. I'm going to try to make it to the next one. I can't remember if that was this last Sunday or the Sunday before, and I had something happen the exact same time, and so I wasn't able to go to that event. But hopefully the next event I'll go to, and maybe I'll try to film some footage. Todd Watkins, true, glad I caught you. Yep, thanks so much for joining, my man. And then Ed, you're always watching the channel. Thank you so much again for joining the live stream. I'm not sure if you're on this one, but he said, I actually saw Bronco driving around the other day where I work. I'm interested where that is, because from my understanding right now, they're just doing these press cars every so often, and then they're testing them around Michigan. And so I'm wondering, where maybe, surrounding area where you're located, because I've never seen one on the streets aside from that one last week where I got to do like the meet and greet with it. And then Todd Watkins said, yeah, that chip shortage is crazy. It is. I don't know. I'm hoping it'll end in the next 3 to 6 months, because prices just keep going up for everything. And it's unfortunate if you're buying right now. PBR Doug, you said, are you going to go to the SRT driving experience that is offered when buying a Hellcat? Yes. I'm not sure. You may have been the one that initially commented about it. I haven't heard anybody else comment. Maybe that was you, maybe not. But I do plan on doing that. I was hoping the pandemic would kind of be near its end when I would schedule that. So maybe now is the time to schedule it. I think the closest one that they have for me is in Arizona. And so just got to plan around that. I have a wedding this year, so maybe early part of next year, if I can do that, that would be awesome. But yes, that is on my list of things to do. I'm excited for it because, racing an SRT around the track, it would be awesome. So, Junior, you said, do you have any regrets not waiting to try and get a super stock, or are you fully happy with the Hellcat? It's a really good question, man. I don't have regrets with the super stock. To be honest, for me, a Hellcat, regardless of whether it's a red eye or the super stock, I just kind of wanted one. And I knew that for the price point that I'm looking at, I wouldn't be able to afford the super stock or the red eye and pay the monthly payments for it. So for me, I wasn't even planning on doing the, trade up to a Hellcat from the Scat pack unless the money made sense. And I talked about in previous videos where I was able to kind of sell my Scat pack and pay just a little bit more per month and drive this thing, and that just wouldn't have happened with a super stock. This is way more than enough power for me, so just having a Hellcat, I'm happy with that. And then Junior, you said, oh, and wait, what's that crazy? That's crazy. There's a dealership with 5 Bronco Sports where I live in, local Ford dealership, along with 2 GT500s. So a clarification on that. So the Bronco Sport is a little bit different, and you probably already know this, but the Bronco Sport is different than the Bronco. That there's still, there's no pre-production, or I should say, there's no production Broncos on the streets right now. Or if they are, they're just testing. The Bronco Sport actually came out shortly after their announcement last July, and that one's more of a Ford Escape unibody type of car, which I actually drove last week on a little off-road course. and it's a really capable car, but it's different than the Bronco, which that one's kind of a full body-on-frame SUV truck-like vehicle, similar to the Wrangler. And so that car is not yet production-wise. There's none on the streets. So production first week is June 7th, I think. And then they're going to start rolling these out, and you'll start seeing them at the dealerships. But for now, and I've had a lot of people ask me, you know, oh, I've seen a bunch of Broncos, and what you've probably seen is the Bronco Sport, which is a little bit of a different vehicle, but also really cool. GT500s, yeah, I've only, I think, seen one or two at a car show, but I haven't ever. And I saw one at a dealership when I actually ordered my Bronco, which was pretty cool. But yeah, those GT500s are awesome. Really cool cars. Let's see. I think I addressed from the last live chat everything that I wanted to. Somebody said drove next to a four-door today. I'm guessing they probably saw the Bronco Sport as well. If that's Zach Belter, I'm guessing you saw the Bronco Sport, but I could be wrong. There's so many, and it's confusing because when you see the Bronco Sport, it has like no Ford badging. It just has like a Bronco, image on it. So it's just kind of weird to differentiate the two cars unless you really like dive into it and know their releases. Ali, you asked how old are you? I'm actually 26. I talked about that in a previous video, probably like 3 or 4 months ago. But yeah, I'm 26 years old. So a lot of people ask, how do you afford these cars? I talked about that in the previous video. It's the monthly payment on this and my Toyota is not really that insane, and so that's how I afford it. But again, I apologize for all of you who had to deal with that weird live stream thing earlier. I'm gonna have to figure that out later. But thank you all who have stuck around. But the Bronco, yeah, is the biggest announcement. And then I am planning on releasing merchandise as promised, earlier in the year. I will release merchandise probably within the next month and a half. I think this shirt will definitely be part of that merchandise. You guys have seen it all over YouTube in my videos. So that's going to be coming out. I'm going to have some posters for you guys as well to purchase. And I'll talk about all those details once it's finalized. I'm still kind of working out the details and making sure that the products are actually good quality before I just release them out to you guys. But if you guys wanted to buy merchandise, which I know a lot of you guys were asking about the t-shirts and the posters, it's going to be opportunity in the next month or two. So stay tuned for that. Those are kind of my big two announcements. Will your merch ship anywhere in the world or only US exclusive? So I'm actually working with, that's a good question, Ali. I'm working with a company that partners with YouTube, and I think they ship anywhere in the European Union and the US. I'm hoping that includes Alaska and Hawaii, but for now, it's going to be just those two markets, which are probably the majority of my viewers. But, if I see a lot of demand from other places, I'm not sure where you're located, but if I see a lot of demand from other places, I'll be happy to open it up. I'm just kind of doing this so you guys can, buy some stuff and represent. And, it's not like I expect it to explode or anything like that. But I don't know how much it costs to do embroidered like hoodies, but I feel like more YouTubers need to make embroidered hoodies and shirts. If buy those more than just like the vinyl print. Yeah, that's true. I'm actually not sure about the embroidered shirts. The company I'm going through, like I said, is it's Teespring. So you guys, I'm sure, have heard of it. I don't think they do embroidered stuff. But what's nice about their platform is they integrate well with YouTube. And so you guys can see the stuff. And that's why a lot of other YouTubers use it, is you can see the merchandise at the bottom of the videos. And so, like I said earlier, if I see a demand uptick, I'll definitely focus more time on it in terms of the different designs I'll offer and maybe some embroidered products. So yeah, we'll see. I think embroidered is going to be a little bit more expensive, but maybe some people are willing to pay that price. But Mark Pular, thanks for joining, my man. I think you were probably one of my very first subscribers. No joke. According to YouTube, I think that might be it. But I came in late. When is this dropping? The merch will be dropping in about a month and a half. So I finalized all the designs. I'm just waiting on the product to come in to test it out. And if everything looks good, then I'll make a video announcing the merchandise. So a month and a half or so is when I plan to have it. Ali, you said, have you sold the Challenger shaker yet? Yes. So I sold that one back in December. And I don't think I made a video talking about the whole process, but I pretty much sold it for the same amount that I bought it for years earlier. So it's kind of a crazy thing. It's the market right now is insane for used cars. And so, yep, I sold it. That was kind of the whole reason I went for this car is I couldn't do both. I had to do one or the other. And I was able to, because the market was where it was at, I decided to take advantage of that and sell it and then put kind of that money towards the Hellcat. So that's what it is. Mark Fuller, sweet. Can't wait to pick it up. Yep, and we can do that in person, man, because I know you're here as well. So that will be fun. And I plan to take a lot of this merch to car shows and stuff. So if you guys ever see me, if you guys are in Utah, ever see me, then definitely let me know, and I'll be happy to kind of show you guys. Are you happy with the color of the Hellcat? Would you like to wrap it to switch things up in the far future? Man, you're opening up my cards here. That's a good question, Junior. So I love the color of the Hellraisin. That's I specifically went to Colorado to pick it up because of the color. There just weren't any here. Although a couple weeks ago I saw a wide body Hellraisin Hellcat like kind of near me, and for a second I thought somebody stole my car, especially because Dodges are prone to being stolen. And then I realized, I think it may have had the yellow splitter protector still on or something different that I was like, yeah, it's definitely not my car. But I've never seen another one ever here in Utah. So that's why I went there. I love the Hellraisin. My top colors from Dodge are the Hellraisin, the Plum Crazy Purple. That's probably to me, that's still maybe my most favorite color. And then Destroyer Gray, obviously, that was my last Scat pack. In terms of wrapping, I don't plan to do a full wrap on the car, but I do have some ideas on not full wraps, but I'm not going to say what it is. You could probably guess, but I do have some ideas for that, and I probably will go that route. I am kind of debating on doing something with the Bronco as well, even though the color I chose for the Bronco, I saw it on the Bronco Sport for the very first time last week, and I really loved it. So it may be hard to do something if I really fall in love with the color. But for now, no plan to change the color up here. Although Plum Crazy, if they made that in the new cars where I could get all the incentives and stuff, I would have probably gone for the Plum Crazy Purple. Yep, and Junior said the same thing. Plum Crazy is my favorite too. New favorite is probably the Frostbitten color. Yep, on the Chargers. If you've seen that color, it's great. Yeah, so before I even got this car, like the video right before I flew out and picked it up, I reviewed or did like a Mopar of the month with a Frostbite Charger Hellcat, and that color was really beautiful. It was probably the first Frostbite I think I've seen, and maybe since then I haven't seen another one, but that is a beautiful color. I like the cinnamon stick, and then I've never seen another one in person, but it's the like goldish yellow color that they did for the 50th anniversary edition. I can't remember the name, but that color, I think I only saw it at the LA Auto Show when they first unveiled it in 2019, but that color was really cool, and I've never seen it aside from photos. But if you get a chance to see that color, I think it's really unique and different. Dodge just makes some really awesome colors. And Destroyer Gray, I mean, they do a lot of these on other ones. I think they do a Hellraisin on the Durango. They do Destroyer Gray on the Durangos for sure. So it's cool that you get to have them in like bigger cars and different vehicles. But yeah, so merch and Bronco, that's the big stuff. I don't know if you guys caught me in the last live stream 15 minutes ago before it died, but I was saying I'm hoping mid-July is when I'll have that here. I'm really worried with the dealership process because, I put a reservation or I put an order in, I put a deposit down, and then I go and buy it when it comes in. And, my dealership promised that I'm doing markups or anything, but with the market how it is, I'm a little bit concerned about that. I'm not willing to pay, over MSRP for the car, even though I'm sure anybody else would. So I don't know. We'll see what happens there. But, knock on wood, the goal is, pick up the Bronco, and that's going to replace the RAV on the channel. PBR Doug, Gold Rush looks better in person. That's the color, Gold Rush. That's the, yeah. I can't imagine. In photos, it already looks awesome. In person, I only saw it from like a distance because it was behind ropes and stuff, but I wish I could see it under the sunlight. It was just in a stadium or an expo center, so I couldn't really appreciate it. But yeah, that Gold Rush color is gorgeous, and I wish they brought it back on. I get why they want to make it a limited edition for 50th anniversary, but if they had that as a color option, I bet that'd be probably like one of the favorite ones because it's just so unique. I haven't seen that color like on any other manufacturer. But yeah, so those are the big things happening on the channel. I'm happy to keep going and talk about other stuff that you guys want to chat about. Thank you for all those that are commenting and asking questions here. That's what makes this live stream funner. But other than that, that's kind of the biggest updates. I do plan to continue making videos every single week on this car, and that will continue as the channel grows. Junior Alsala asked, do you have any other hobbies besides cars, i.e. boats, motorcycle, things of that nature that we might see on the channel at any point? Good question, man. I do have, I guess I'm kind of boring. I don't have too many other hobbies, but I do love, the stuff I do outside of like YouTube and work. And it's more just kind of, I like hanging out with friends and family and stuff like that. I have considered talking about other stuff on the channel. I don't know, not boats or motorcycles. I love motorcycles, but I never drive them or ride them because I'm kind of worried about getting hit by people because I just don't trust other people on the roads. I'd be happy to talk about other stuff on the channel. I just don't know how interested everybody else would be about kind of some other stuff, like even housing and the housing market or stuff that kind of interests me outside of work. But I just don't know if that's something interesting for you guys. But I've tried to incorporate like my other stuff, like my friends and family on the channel. And I think you guys have enjoyed those videos as well. Ali, you said, I'm getting my Challenger in 3 months, even though it'll only be a SXT. I think it's a good first car regardless. Yeah, it does not matter, man. Whatever engine it is, whatever you can go for, you're going to love it. And the SXT is still, that V6 is an amazing engine. It's like over 300 horsepower. And, it's not going to be a Hellcat, but, for example, I had the Scat pack. That wasn't a Hellcat either. Like there's, to each, there's always going to be more power. There's always going to be somebody that has a bigger engine, even bigger than this, 100% sure. So yeah, just enjoy it for what it is, and that's super exciting stuff. Let me know if you've ordered it already, or you just like planning on going to the dealership in 3 months, or give me some more details about that, and maybe what color and trims or options you're planning on getting. Because what's cool about Dodge is you can customize it however you want, and there's a million different ways, and obviously they're going to nickel and dime you for it, but it makes your car more unique, and I like that. Junior said, I think you should try things out. Maybe you'll find a completely new group of followers with the housing market stuff. Good to try out new things just to feel it out if you're comfortable with that. Yeah, for sure, man. I sometimes when I have done like kind of different types of videos, one example of that was I did a video last summer where I went up to a place here in Utah called Bear Lake. We just did kind of like a little staycation, went off-roading, ATVing. That video just didn't do very well at all. I'm not sure why. Maybe it doesn't have to be because of the content. It could be because the day I posted it and whatnot, but the tags I used, etc. But that video didn't seem to do well. So I tried to incorporate like some of my other hobbies. Like I do like UTVs and ATV stuff. And I just, if people, I'll keep posting it probably this summer. I plan to go up there again and do some of that stuff. If people enjoy seeing that, I'll definitely post more of it. So I might test it out 1 or 2 more times just to see if people are interested. But yeah, that video only got like 80 views. And like even now, up to this point, 6 months or 7 months later, it's still only at 80 views. So kind of surprising. But yeah, I think the housing market stuff could be interesting. I touched on that a little bit in the last video I posted talking about how used car prices are just skyrocketing. I mean, home prices are, and the construction prices for these homes are just skyrocketing even more. I mean, the cost to build a home just goes up like day by day. And so that I find that stuff interesting and kind of sad too if you're planning on building a home. But Ali, you said, I'm into the SXT Plus and I'm pretty sure I'll get it from a dealership. I'm not sure if I can get Destroyer Gray, but it's my favorite color of the car, and I really miss your old Scat pack. I know, man. I'll be honest, I miss it too. Like, even though on paper this car is the better option, right? I mean, when you look at the power, when you look at the specs, and just overall experience, especially with the wide body, it's got better handling. Something about that Destroyer Gray, man. If I could afford both, I totally would. And maybe in the future I could hunt down that car, and I would probably buy it back because that was probably my favorite car I've owned of all time, even up to date. Owning this one, this one's fantastic. I love this car, but the Scat Pack was kind of had a special place in my heart, and I don't even know how to explain it, but I do miss that. And it wasn't just the color; it was kind of the shaker and all the stuff I did to it. it's just kind of, I don't know, it's bittersweet. But do I regret switching? No, I don't. But I wish I could have both. But the SXT Plus, I mean, I don't know too much about what that includes. I'm guessing that includes the updated features, like the navigation system, maybe the bigger Uconnect. And the other thing I don't know is if they still make Destroyer Gray. I know they stopped it. I can't remember if they restarted it for 2020. Unless, obviously, if you go for a used one, which could be a great option, a slightly used one, if hopefully prices go down, then yeah, you can definitely get a Destroyer Gray. And you know, my recommendation, if any, is if you know, if you want to know, I would hold out until you find the one that you want, because there's nothing worse than settling for something you don't like, and then a couple months later seeing the one you actually wanted on the road and be like, oh, I wish I, you know, waited or saved up a little bit more money. So if you can find, if you love the Destroyer Gray, hold out for it, man, because you're gonna just love it so much more if that's the case. And then Junior said, has that new update hit for the higher trims to prevent stealing, or do you know when that will be available to install? Yeah, so that's a good question. I was actually going to follow up with my dealer. I think it was supposed to be end of Q2, so it should be end of June-ish, maybe beginning of July. I think that was when they planned to announce it. I'm not sure if I've seen anybody do that already, so that's something I'm going to follow up with the dealership probably in the next few months. And if you guys don't know, I made like a little TikTok about it, but pretty much what it's going to do is on the Scat Pack, I think it ignores the RT Hemi, but the Scat Pack and above, those trims will get this security update or software update where you're going to have to punch in, if you choose to go and do this update, you're going to have to punch in like a 4-digit PIN every single time you sit in the car to unlock all horsepower. Otherwise, it like limits it to, I don't remember, like 3 horsepower or something super minuscule. And it's meant to kind of not even maybe deter, but prevent these cars from just being like raced off into the distance and stolen. Even though, I mean, yeah, people can get it on a trailer and stuff like that. But I mean, if you're like in a restaurant and, you know, somebody breaks into your car, you know, but you'll have time to catch up to it because it's only going 2 miles per hour. Whereas before, somebody may easily could have gotten in the car and driven off. And so I think it's something, it's better than nothing for them to do. I do hope that on the next generation of cars, they do something more to prevent theft, maybe a better security system. And I don't really know exactly why these are that much more likely to get stolen from a security standpoint. I mean, I guess, you know, my understanding is if you break the windows, the alarm goes off. You know, I don't really know why they're more stolen, aside from the fact that they're just high horsepower cars. But, you know, there's a lot of high horsepower cars that don't get stolen as often as these cars. So it's unfortunate, but hopefully they get that update out pretty soon. And I'll give you guys an update once that happens. I like the video of you and your brother giving your dad his car. How's he using it? Yeah, I appreciate that, man. Thank you. That was a huge video for you know, multiple reasons. Put a lot of effort into it. And actually, you know, it came out like a month after we actually did the whole big reveal, and it was a really big moment for us. You know, I touched on it in the video, so I'm not going to go into crazy depth, but he loves it. There were some things he had to get fixed that I'm not going to dive into it, but like the day before we gave it to him, something went wrong. And even though it worked for like months before we gave it to him, something went wrong the night before. And so luckily we got all that fixed. And so we found a really good shop that does some of that work. And so right now he's actually planning on doing, fixing up the paint a little bit. And I think he might want to do it like a wrap on it, like a red, same color, but just a wrap or maybe a new paint job on it, because the paint job that they did, the previous owner or the one before that, it wasn't that good of a paint job. So you can see, you know, like from a distance, it looks beautiful. When you get up close, it's like, well, they didn't really sand it too well. You see some bubbles. So that's what he's working on right now. But yeah, he's been driving it to work when the weather's good. And so I was actually going to go with a car show to a car show with him, but that hasn't happened yet. But that will be in a future video. We'll take that car to a car show probably after the paint gets fixed, because that's something he started right now. Banana Bowie, hey, what's going on? For some reason, this YouTube popped up. What's going on here? Car Talk? Yes, if you stuck around, Banana, that it is Car Talk. I'm a YouTuber that does, you know, I like primarily focus on Mopar products, but I try to do some other stuff. So yeah, just talking cars, primarily Mopar, but happy to talk about anything else. So who's Duncan? Hello. Hey, what's going on? Thank you for joining. I'm glad to see some other people from the last live chat join in. Hopefully this one doesn't cut off like the last one. Ali, what's the origin of SchwayZ? How did it come to be? That's a good question, man. And I addressed this in the Q&A from a couple weeks ago. And if you want more detail, I've actually timestamped that video. So if you go in the description, you'll find it. But quick synopsis, I had this little like side hustle, fashion side hustle in college. And I thought the SchwayZ was just kind of a cool name. It kind of stemmed from the actor Patrick Swayze, which is really weird, but that's just kind of how it came. I was like, oh, SchwayZ is like a synonym for cool. And so, you know, when that side hustle didn't really go anywhere, that's when I started the YouTube channel up because I wanted to talk cars on YouTube with a lot of you guys and girls out there. And I just had to come up with a name. And I was like, well, I use this name for this little side hustle. Let me use it for this as well. And, you know, the underscore was partially because YouTube didn't allow just SchwayZ, but also it kind of like almost like signifies there's another letter that could be there, like a SchwayZ underscore is like typing, you know, another letter. So that's where it came from. I really considered changing the name of the channel, and I've actually asked you guys in the community tab, you know, do you think I should change the name? Because I'm really tempted to. And most people on Instagram and YouTube said, no, I like the name, don't change it, keep it as is. So I'm planning on keeping it for now. You know, I don't plan to change it, and the merchandise that I'm going to be releasing is going to keep SchwayZ on there. You know, if I see that I really want to change it in the future, I will, but probably not anytime this year or in the near future. So kind of a weird origin, but that's where it came from. I just thought it was a synonym for cool. Came here from Whitesnake, LOL. Who's Duncan? What is Whitesnake? I could sound like an idiot by saying this, but I'm not sure what Whitesnake is. And let me know in the comments because I could be just totally blanking. Todd Watkins, yeah, I meant to ask about that. Definitely your best video to date. Thank you. Yeah, you're referencing the giving my dad his car. Yeah, that was a really, you know, probably my favorite ever video to film and post. And I mean, it was just a crazy experience. And the fact that we found the car, giving us several months beforehand, before his birthday, to do it was just fascinating. And we got an amazing deal on it that, you know, finding it right now on the classifieds, it would have been much more expensive. So opinions on the 370Z Nismo. I like it. I like the 370Z. The only complaint I have about the Zs is I feel like the interiors are a little bit plasticky, and there's a lot of sports cars that have this kind of problem. And I think it's because the 370Z is a pretty older platform at this point. They're coming out with the 400Z or the new one, and I think the interior of that one looks a lot better. But buying a new 370Z, I feel like the interior is a little bit outdated. In terms of like the car itself, the engine, I love the engine they have in that car. I mean, they've used that in the Infinities before. My brother actually has an Infiniti Q50, and it's not the same engine as the 370Z, but they used to have a similar engine, and they're solid. The engine's solid. The weight of the car and the weight distribution makes for a really good ride. And you know, I've driven inside one. I've never driven one myself, but I think they're really cool cars. You know, there's a lot of cool cars on the market. There's a lot of complaints people could say about the interiors of these cars. You know, for this price tag, it should be a lot better. But to each their own. I mean, if you're cool with the interior the way it is, the fact that you can offer it in a manual still, there's not very many cars that come with a manual transmission anymore. So, Ibrahim, I think it's a great option if that's what you're interested in. Ali said, I like the 370Z. Junior said, Nismos are sick. Yep. Yeah, it's great. I'm actually considering it as a first car. Yeah, I mean, you know, if you're looking for like a used one, you can probably get it for a pretty decent price. I think new, they may be in the $30,000 range, if I'm not mistaken. It's been a while since I've looked into them. I think that's a little steep. But if you get in like the $10,000 to $20,000 range, I think they're great cars. To be honest, you know, I like the BRZ and the FRS, but I think they're way underpowered. I think the engine in the 370Z is the perfect engine for that size of car. And the FRS, not to hate on any FRS or BRZ people, because I think those cars are great and they handle really well from what I've heard. I just think they're underpowered, and a lot of people say that. And, you know, obviously you can tune and make them faster, but the 370Z is like right out of the box. It's a really good and decent engine. So, Junior, yeah, they are, but low trim Mopars are also pretty lackluster. That's true. Yeah, exactly. That's what I was saying earlier. You know, if you get an SXT without any options, even the RT, there's RTs out there with the, you know, the smaller Uconnect screen. I think it's a 7-inch, maybe even less than that. You know, you could do better if you're charging so much for a car. You should do better on the interiors. And that's a common complaint about Mopars as well. Rock group from the 80s, Todd. I was gonna say rock group, but I wasn't sure if they were doing any bands or like any performances right now because of the pandemic. So I was gonna guess that it was a band, but now that you mention it, I do remember a song where they referenced Whitesnake. So that just shows my age, obviously. Let's see. What do you think about the 392 Rubicon? I think it is awesome. Todd Watkins asked that. I watched a review, Matt Moran Motoring. I don't know if you guys watch him or not. I think he's a great car reviewer, but he did a review on it, and I mean, like, what's not to love? It's funny because they released or they announced it like a few days, it seemed like, or maybe the day after Bronco or Ford released the Bronco. So it's kind of like yeah, your car's cool, but we put a Hemi into a Jeep. It's awesome. I mean, I would love if they put a Hellcat engine into a Jeep, but I wonder if that, if there's like a rollover risk when that comes, because like I said earlier in the last live stream, I was driving and all of a sudden I was going sideways. In a Jeep, I'm sure at that point I'd be flipped over. So probably a little bit dangerous, but it's cool that they did that. And the fact that, it wasn't just them taking an engine and placing it into the Jeep. They had to redo a lot of stuff because the engine bay is a little bit tighter than some of the Challengers and stuff. And so, they still went through with it. They did invest some money into making this happen. So it just goes to show that Jeep does things differently. And, people have been begging Ford to do a V8 Raptor since the last one ended, and they still haven't done it. Now there's talks that maybe the next generation will have it. I don't know. The Bronco, they could have came out with the V8. They might in the future. That could be something that they build up to, but it's just something that Mopar just does what they want to. And that's why people are so loyal to that brand. Ibrahim, you were talking about the 370. You said, yeah, I found a used one with 25,000 for a great 25,000 miles for a great price. I think that's awesome, man. 25,000 miles for those the engines on those things and the trannies. It's like new. They're really reliable cars, and I think for a first car, almost dangerous. I mean, it's a fun car easy to get into a lot of trouble with. 2018, yeah. I mean, that's a brand new car, really. It's slightly used. You shouldn't have any reliability issues at that point. You may even still be under warranty depending on when in 2018 it was purchased. But Todd Watkins, you're laughing to the Whitesnake. Yep. I mean, I know some 80s bands. Like I do listen to 80s and 70s music, but Whitesnake, I don't think I've listened to any of their songs. Ali, you said, I think it'd be nice if you maybe start blogging your daily life, maybe one vlog a week. Yeah, that's the car vlogs and stuff. Those channels are really like the big hit. And I don't know what I do so interesting that you guys would like find it cool. Like I work and then I go to the gym and then I film videos and stuff like that. And so I will try to do my best to incorporate. And I like doing these types of live streams because you guys can give me ideas on what you want to see. I think it'd be cool to do some more vlogs rather than just like a mod or advice or how-tos. Just kind of going up to different places. The other thing I got to get out of my comfort zone is like bringing cameras into places that I go. That to me, is like, it's just kind of awkward. And so just getting over that, even, sitting in front of like a camera and chatting is kind of weird, especially when there's people around. But, vlogging is something that I could definitely get into if you guys would be interested in seeing that kind of stuff. Junior, you said, speaking of Jeep's, thoughts on the 4xe, that's the electric Jeep hybrid. I just saw one the other day after watching a Straight Pipes video about it. So I don't know much about the hybrid, Jeep that they're bringing out. So I'm not going to talk too much about it. I don't know if it's a fully electric car. Maybe I could be mistaken. You're saying it's a hybrid. I don't know. In terms of the electrification industry, I guess I'm more optimistic about it than some other car people in the community. I think that in anything, competition breeds innovation. And so, right now, Tesla is really the biggest electric car manufacturer in the US, that has like the funnest cars. And I think Tesla's kind of proven that electric cars don't have to be boring and they can be like really unique and different. Software updates over the air, that's something that no other manufacturer really did back when Tesla started it. And so I'm actually okay with cars going electric, even though that does mean that you're not going to have giant V8 superchargers. I think there's other things that can happen that maybe we don't know of yet because of electric cars and electric motors. You know, I don't think they're all going to be just boring commuter cars. At least I hope they're not. I think, you know, if they're all heading that way, there's going to be one company that does things differently. And I think the industry is going to understand that. I think that's what Tesla did. You know, everybody was kind of skeptical on electric cars, and then Tesla came out with a really viable option. And everybody's now talking about going electric. GM saying, you know, I think 2035 or something, they're planning on doing all electric cars. And I think there's advantages to it. So I'm not sure. An off-roading electric car, that could be tough, especially because, you know, if you run out of gas on an off-roading trail, you just put some gas in, you know, you take some with you. I don't know how that would work with electric stuff. I mean, unless they're a bunch of solar panels and you know, it charges quick enough, but that could be hard. So like for overlanding, I don't know if electric cars will get there unless there's some new innovation on that. Junior, you said good idea on the vlogging. Yeah, I mean, Junior, sounds like you want to see some other stuff on the channel aside from cars, maybe like some, you know, finance stuff or market, and maybe some vlogging as well. So thank you guys for the advice. I mean, I'm always happy to tailor my channel to whatever you guys want to watch. And if that's the case, I'll do it. So Todd Watkins, I watch Matt Moran too. Yeah, he's good, man. I've watched him for a long time, and I'm surprised his channel has kind of gone flat in terms of subscriber growth, but he makes really solid content, and I really like his reviews. He was one of the reasons why I got into YouTubing, was watching a lot of his videos. He actually had some, I think, 350Z videos that I used to watch back in the day. So Ibrahim, if you're interested, go and check out Matt Moran Motoring. He does some really good reviews, and one of them is the Nissan. MMA clips, what do you do for work? I make $20 an hour. Do you think I can afford a Scat pack? Good question, man. So MMA clips, the answer to your question, what do I do for work? I talked about this in a video a couple months ago, but I'm in banking. So I'm in the finance industry. And that really has nothing to do with, you know, why I afford these cars or anything. I think anybody who budgets correctly and does a certain, you know, understands what their income and expenses are can afford cars like these. Number one thing I would recommend is work on your credit score. If it's not good already, that will probably help you in the longest run, more so than even what your like income is. But you know, $20 an hour, do you think I can afford a Scat pack? I definitely think you can. I mean, you know, I'm a huge proponent of leasing, and I get a lot of hate for that because a lot of people, I think, don't understand leasing to its full extent. And there's definitely reasons to lease. There's definitely reasons to finance, and I've done both of those things. But you can lease a Scat pack for almost $400 a month, maybe a little bit less than that. And you can finance a used one for like $500, $600 a month. So, you know, it just depends on, again, your credit score. If it's good, you know, a $30,000, $35,000 Scat pack, slightly used one, maybe $40,000, you could, you know, finance it for $500, $600 a month. And then you just got to determine, is that enough? Do you have enough income? And what other stuff do you spend money on? If you don't spend that much money on like eating out or, you know, I don't know, whatever, some of your other hobbies, then yeah, I think you could afford it. So that's just my recommendation. Just plan it out in terms of your income and expenses. Mark Fuller said, let me know when you need to upgrade your audio, bro. We can set you up in less than a day. Okay, good to know, man. You're talking about like sound system, right? Yeah, I don't know. This one, you know, my Hellcat, I'm big into like having really good sound, but the Alpine audio that I have on this thing is actually really decent. And I didn't, you know, I always thought that I had to go for the Harman Kardon system to do really well because my car before the Scat pack had the Harman Kardon, and I was like, I loved it. I was convinced that that was the sound system to get. And so when I got the Alpine, I was like, well, maybe it's not going to be as good, but honestly, the bass is really nice. And the sound quality is really nice for a bass system, like the cheapest one you can get. It's a really good audio system. Have you seen the new Hummer that is all electric, Mark Fuller? Yeah, so I've seen videos of it, never seen it in person, and I'm really excited for it. The only like complaint I have is I think it's a really high price point. I mean, at that price point, you have like a fully loaded Cybertruck whenever that does come out, a Model X. Now, I get that they serve a different purpose because you're going to maybe off-road the Hummer, whereas you're not going to do that with, maybe you do that with the Cybertruck, but not with the Model X. But still, I think, you know, having these, I think it starts like over 80,000 and you could easily get it over 100,000. I think that's pushing it. You know, I think it would have been better for them to maybe start it at like the $50,000, $60,000 range, especially for like an off-roader, quote unquote. Like, I don't think anybody, unless you're going for like a G-Wagon, nobody in that price point takes their cars off-roading. It's more of kind of just for show. But aside from the price, I think it's a really cool car, and it has a lot of cool features that are also really innovative and new that I haven't seen anywhere else. And that's why I'm excited for some of the electric car stuff. Ibrahim, did you buy Dogecoin? No, I did not. You know, it's funny, the whole cryptocurrency stuff. I definitely think there's a market for it, and people are experts on it. I don't understand it that well enough to really go into it personally. And to each their own. I have some friends that know a lot about that and have been in it for almost 10 years, and they love that stuff. To me, it just I feel like I'm like a geriatric person. I just do not understand it completely, and what I don't understand, I won't spend money on. So, but for a lot of people, you make a lot of money off of that. So more power to you if you're in that. MMA Clips, you're the man, bro. God bless. I know you're going to get a lot of subs. Hey, I really appreciate that, man. Hopefully, I don't know if I answered your question, but hopefully it helps you in some way. Again, it's, to go back to whether you can afford a Scat Pack. You set the goal. That's the number one thing. Just set that goal and plan kind of your life around it if that means a lot to you. But to a lot of people, cars don't mean much, and I totally understand that too. So whatever makes sense for you. Mark Fuller said, I meant for your blogging on camera stuff. Oh, okay, I got you for audio. Yeah, I upgraded my camera setup about a year and a half ago, and I have no regrets. I used to use a GoPro, and I honestly kind of hate GoPro. It's a product that's great for certain angles and shots, but when it comes to audio and video quality, I think it's just subpar for the price. So I upgraded to a Canon M50. And I really love that camera, and the audio is actually really good. And I use some external mics, so I think my audio is pretty good. But obviously, things can always get better. Video production quality can get better, and I try to do that, video after video, and you guys, I'm sure, have seen that. But always happy to talk about it, man. Next time we see each other in person, we can chat audio. Ibrahim, you said, do you think it's possible to daily a turbo 370Z, or is it worth it to tune even if you're using it as a daily? I think it depends on kind of what kind of setup you go for. If you're turning this into like a drift car, then you kind of lose the point where it's not much a daily driver and it's more of kind of just a drift car. That's all you do. If you're looking just to add like a small turbo, add a little bit of power to it, I think it's definitely possible. I don't think there's anything, everything is daily drivable to a certain extent. People ask me, is the Hellcat daily drivable? 100% it is. If I, turned it into a 1,000 horsepower Hellcat, is it daily drivable? Probably, but it depends on how you tune it. So it really depends. I can't tell you for sure. You may want to talk to like a tuning shop and see what they do. What do they change? Do they change the throttle response? Do they change kind of how the transmission works? And depending on how they tune the car, it could be a rough ride, or it could be like really jolty, or it could be very smooth and very well done. So do I think it's possible? Yes. Is it worth it? I would start with just the 370Z as is, and if you see that it's lacking power, then you can always upgrade. I don't do too much engine modifications on my car. Mine's still under warranty, obviously. That's part of the big reason. But to me, it's like I would rather invest that money into a bigger engine car than the same car I have with a turbo or a supercharger on it. But a lot of people do that. So up to you, man. T. Grigor, hey there, Armand. What are your thoughts on a possible electric Challenger in the near future, possibly next generation, the way things are going? Do you know if the Dodge is even considering the switch? It's a good question, and I do think they are. There's always new information coming out, and it's hard to keep track of it. But I think last I heard, they are considering kind of a hybrid powertrain. And I don't know. I don't know if they're going to jump to hybrid or go fully electric. I don't know if Alfa Romeo and, or I should say FCA, and I guess now they're Stellantis when they mixed with Peugeot, if I said that right. But I don't know what their electric, I guess, R&D is like. I haven't seen their electric cars really in the market, so I'm not sure how advanced their technology is to make a fully electric car. I think hybrid is probably what they'll start with, and I don't know where they're headed with the Challenger. I do think the next generation, they're probably not going to have the same Hellcat supercharged engine V8. They're probably going to have some sort of hybrid, and I think they'll probably produce similar power. There's a lot of unknowns right now, and Stellantis disbanded SRT. They're kind of putting the SRT people in different parts of the company. And I don't know what that means. That could mean that there's more like SRT branded stuff that's not really SRT. For an example, like AMG did this with their Mercedes. You know, they have the C43 AMG. It's not really an AMG car, but they use kind of AMG parts on it. I don't know if that means that Dodge is going to start doing the same thing to be able to sell more cars. They're going to just say SRT like power or SRT inspired. And so that direction's unknown, and the direction of like electric cars is unknown. But I'm pretty certain for a fact they're not going to have engines like these for much longer. It's just not economical, and the whole industry is changing into electric. And I think if they stay with naturally aspirated, you're going to have some people who are really passionate about it, but you're probably going to start missing out on a lot of other customers. And at the end of the day, they're a company that needs to make money, so they're probably going to transition into the electric market. If you still have the GoPro, you could do a POV drive video. Ibrahim, yeah, Ibrahim, good point there. I did a POV like video when I hit, I think, 6,000 or 7,000 subscribers, and that was pretty fun. That was back in the Scat pack, so I got to do that again with the Hellcat. I've been wanting to go to these the track out here. It's about an hour from Salt Lake City, but the track the Utah has this roll racing event that they recently released this year. And every single time they've had it, I've had a conflict. So I'm planning on going there and doing a roll race with the Hellcat against whoever. And I'll probably do a GoPro experience there just to see what it looks like. And then Ibrahim, I daily drive an RT. I think manageable depending on where you live. I get a lot of snow where I live, so an exhaust and intake along with wheels is what I'm running currently with no issues. That's awesome, JR. I think that's a good point for a lot of people. I've never really driven my Challenger or the Hellcat or the Scat Pack in snow. I've tried to avoid it as much as I can. Definitely wet roads here and there, but like in thick snow, I try to avoid it. So I'm not the best to tell you whether you can do it or not until I've done it myself. But I have heard of people that, if you have snow tires, you can definitely do that because it just depends on how much snow you get. Here in Utah, you sometimes get a lot. I wouldn't drive a Challenger with snow tires up the canyon, but in day-to-day traffic, I think you're okay. Ibrahim said, I live in the UAE. It says so it doesn't snow here. Usually really hot, actually. So yeah, the Arab Emirates. I don't think you guys ever get snow, but I'm surprised you joined, man. I don't know. It's probably pretty early in the morning for you guys, but thank you for joining. And then Dominic, he said, hey SchwayZ, how's it going? What is going on? Dominic Wantland, thank you so much for joining, man. I appreciate it. And then Junior said, then you should be great. LOL. Yep. Junior, I think Ibrahim was referencing the 370Z in terms of daily driving it. And so, yeah, I think, especially in nice hot weather, that car would be amazing to drive in. Like, if you can get the convertible, I know they have the 350Z, I think, in a convertible. I don't know if they made the 370Z in a convertible. That would be pretty cool. I've always wanted a convertible, but I never drive it with the weather we have here. Dominic, are you cool with an electric Challenger? I think so. It's a good question. I think, like I mentioned earlier in the live stream, I think I'm okay with the electric kind of transition of cars. I think an electric Challenger could be appealing if they could get it in like an all-wheel drive setup with power going to all four wheels, and you have just as much horsepower, just as much torque. I don't see why I would be opposed to it. The only thing you'd be missing is the sound, which is a huge component of these cars. But I think that's what's cool. You could have both kind of an old school car. I don't imagine they're going to make gas powered cars illegal. They're just not going to sell new ones. I think over time there's just going to be fewer and fewer of them. But I think that like if you think back to the 60s and 70s when they released muscle cars that we kind of idolize, when things transitioned away from that into super like fuel economy cars, smaller cars, some of the cars in the 80s that really just weren't that great, and 90s as well. You always kind of get nostalgic and you think back on all those cool things. But then when you think about it back today, those cars had horrible gas mileage. They had really not that much power to the ground. Like they had 300 horsepower and like a 7-liter engine. And the technology has progressed to the point where you can get that much horsepower in like a 4-cylinder car. It's just the stuff, and obviously they're still naturally aspirated engines, so you still have a little bit of kind of cool factor to it. But I think with electric cars, we're just not seeing what the progression could be. And so there may be a time where it gets worse in the car industry, but then there's going to be some innovation that happens, and we're going to think back, 40 years from now, we're going to think about, 2021 and be like, I can't believe they had a 6.2-liter supercharged engine in a car only making 700 horsepower. Like my my electric smart car makes 1,500 horsepower. I don't think we know where it's headed. And so I think I'm okay with it. Will that mean I cherish this one more? Probably, because it's going to be kind of a more retro, old school car, but I think it'll be cool. Ibrahim, wouldn't I need to get a different radiator? And Junior said, I assume if you go forced induction, that would mean an intercooler. Yes. When you upgrade to a turbo, you may have to, and I don't know the details on the 370Z and the engine in terms of how strong the internals are to handle the additional boost from a turbo. I'm not a mechanic, and so I would talk to a tuning shop and see how much boost can you get without having to upgrade the entire engine, because you don't want to, break a rod or something just because you put so much boost in the car. And then, yeah, if you put a turbo, you're going to have to get an intercooler, and there's other parts that you're going to have to purchase. So it is probably a pretty sizable investment. If that's the car you want to stay with forever or for a long time, it may be worth it. But if you drive it for a little bit and get tired of the engine, maybe it's better to upgrade to a car with a bigger engine on it. Dominic, have any plans for future videos? Yeah, my biggest plan, like I've talked earlier, is the Bronco. That's something I'm going to focus a lot on the channel. That doesn't mean that Mopars are disappearing whatsoever. I'm still going to talk a ton about this car. But I do plan on doing a few more modifications to this one just to make it a little bit more unique. And then, for me, a lot of the videos I make are kind of spur of the moment. I write a bunch of ideas down ahead of time, and then when I have time, I film those ideas. So I'll talk more about, maybe some mods I do on this car, some suggestions, and I'll try to keep the summer stuff that will be kind of interesting, like the vlogs, the car shows. I plan to do more of those. There's going to be some roll racing. So there are some things I have planned that finally that things are opening up and that summer's here, weather's getting better. I'm going to have more opportunities to take this car out and do it. Whereas during the wintertime, I was kind of stuck in the garage and trying to make content with what I could with the car here, or I had to find like a really nice day to take it out and then quickly get it back in the garage. So let's see, Ibrahim, not sure what it is actually, since I'm not great with cars. I never was interested in cars until I actually could buy one. The intercooler, so that it's kind of like a radiator for your turbo. It cools down the air. And I'm not going to say I'm an expert on it, but the intercooler, like the supercharged Hellcat has an intercooler as well. So I recommend just looking up some videos on that and talking with your mechanic to figure out what's the best route for you. But yeah, you're going to need an intercooler and a turbo and possibly upgrade the internals of your engine. Dominic, I feel like it isn't really a Challenger. If it's electric, oh, it'd make me kind of sad. LOL. Yeah, I think you're going to miss some people for sure. Todd Watkins, absolutely not for an electric Challenger. Yeah, some diehard people are not going to be for an electric Challenger. Like I said, I'm more on the optimistic side, but I know most people are not on that side when it comes to electric cars. And I don't know what that means in terms of values for these cars right now. Are they going to go up? They might, just like muscle cars right now. If you go look for a 1968 Dodge Charger, you're probably not going to find one for, I don't know, less than like $35,000, $45,000, $50,000. So, and brand new, they were like probably $5,000 or something crazy. But I don't know what that means for cars like this. But again, I actually am optimistic about it, but a lot of people are not. Dominic, you are not either. So, I mean, I get why you would do it, but for me, it isn't a Challenger without the engine power and sound of the power and the sound of an engine. I think you're gonna definitely have the power. Sound, yeah, you're not gonna have. And I think some companies have experimented with piping in some sound, but I don't expect them to put like a Harman Kardon sound system to project the exhaust sound of a V8. That's probably not really realistic, or it's not even gonna sound good. So. Yeah, it's tough. Again, I'm on the optimistic side, but Dominic, I think I'd love to see electric cars from Dodge, but I'd like for them to keep the name Charger and Challenger for gas vehicles. I hated what Ford did with the Mustang nameplate. Yeah, I can see that. The question is, are they even going to have any gas-powered vehicles in 15, 20 years? to keep the Challenger and Charger name. I don't know. In fact, actually, kind of funny, but Charger would work really good for an electric car, but I'm not going to dive into that. I do think the Mustang Mach-E, I think it's a great car. I do think they kind of messed up with the name. I get why they called it the Mustang Mach-E. I wish they would have just called it the Mach-E. I think people would have referenced to Mustang because of Mach 1. And so it would have been like a loose relationship. I would have been maybe even okay with like a similar emblem. But the fact they called it a Mustang, yeah, I'm not loving it. It is a great car, but I don't know. I love to see electric cars. Oh, okay. I looked at that one from Junior. Dominic, I really like your education videos, like the one on exhaust systems was awesome. It explained things so much for me. If you can and want it, would be cool if you made more. Yeah, for sure, man. I try to kind of throw those in every so often. One of the things I focus on is, the stuff I talk in my videos. I do quite a bit of research ahead of time, and my kind of number one goal is to provide information and education, and the secondary goal is for entertainment. And so, I've kind of sprinkled a few of those in. I talked about the wide body. That was probably the last like educational video. Although you could probably talk about the used car prices as an educational video, but if you're considering a wide body or not, I went into depth about that in video from like 2 weeks ago. So yeah, I do try to sprinkle a few of those in over time. If there's a particular topic you want me to discuss, I'd be happy to if I know the answer to it. I don't try to make videos that I don't know the answers to. But if there's something, definitely let me know in the live stream, and we'll see if I can make that. Let's see. I'd be totally fine with that. Yeah, in my opinion, the Mustang was a wreck. Yeah, and Junior agreed. Are you planning on keeping the Challenger after your lease is up? And what did you decide on a name? Todd, you're killing me, man. So yes, for now, I am planning on keeping the car after the lease is up. I'll probably just finance it. I doubt I will trade it in or sell it at that point unless something really compelling comes out that would convince me, in the next 2 years to get rid of the Hellcat. But I would love to keep this car for a very long time. So no plans to sell it. I'll just finance it out and purchase the car after the lease. In terms of a name, I've been racking my head, man, and like I don't know, like I've got a few names. And a lot of you guys have, I think, Todd, you suggested some names as well. I am going for somewhat of a theme that may ruin one of the mods that I'm planning, but I actually thought about the name Thanos. I'm not huge into comic books, but I think Thanos is a really cool character in Avengers, and he's kind of purplish. So Thanos would be kind of cool. And I have thought about Zeus, because Zeus, the god of lightning, but he also, I think, the color purple or like hell-raising color was also part of him as well. So I think, I don't know how it relates, but purple does relate to Zeus. And so I thought Zeus would be a cool one. Is just the god of all gods. And that's kind of what the Hellcat is, except kind of the opposite. It's more of a Hades, but still, I think that'd be pretty cool. Ibrahim, what was your first car? It was actually a Lamborghini Aventador. And then I decided to trade down to a Toyota. Totally kidding. My first car was a Honda CR-V. It was a 2004 Honda CR-V, and it was a really fun car. Honestly, not fun to drive, but fun to kind of play around with and do stuff. It was a dark green color. It was the base, it had like the steel wheels and stuff like that. And so I put quite a bit of money into that thing. I upgraded the wheels. I made I bought these cool, XXR wheels. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that brand, but I bought XXR wheels for it. I actually had a sub installed inside the car. I changed the tire cover, got it painted to match the color of the car. I added interior LED lights. I did a bunch of, I changed the tail lights out. I did a lot of stuff to that car, and I only really owned it for I want to say a little bit over a year, maybe 2 years. And then I actually went to a Mercedes C300. I leased that car as well, and then I moved to the Scat Pack. So yeah, it was a total mom car, but I definitely made it unique. Let's see, Dominic, LOL just put in a subwoofer with a Hellcat engine sound under the hood. Yeah, if that would be cool if they did that in an electric car. Maybe they would do a good job at it. I don't know. Well, it could just sound like you're one of those weirdos that are like bike riding and then have a speaker blasting sound out. I don't know. It could just be weird. Dominic, you asked any advice on an aspiring car enthusiast on learning about cars and how they work and their history. It's a good question, man. A lot of it, the stuff that I've learned is just kind of going through the car forums, the car journalisms like Car and Driver, Motor Trend, Googling my way through a lot of stuff. Like, you heard earlier, I don't know much about how the turbos and intercoolers work. I know turbos they take the exhaust and they take the exhaust air and they force induction into the engine, and that's what creates boost and more power. But I can't tell you exactly all the details on that, and I'll be the first to admit it. I think that Googling your way through that kind of stuff, if you hear a term on a video or a forum or a website that you don't understand, just Google it. I guess 10, 15 years ago, you could pick up a book, Cars for Dummies or something like that, or car history, and learn all that stuff. But I am not an expert on any of the old cars. I kind of just research my way through it on cars that interest me. But like, I don't know all of the old models. And so just exposing yourself to car YouTubers or car like Netflix shows, restoration shows, just learning stuff here and there, you'll kind of pick up some stuff. And I think you'll get into cars more, and Googling your way and maybe finding something an avenue that you're more interested in. Like drift cars. I don't know too much about those things, but there's definitely avenues that you can go in that route. Let's see, T. Grigor, I don't know about you, but the fact that engines like yours are going away is making me sad. Getting old and less excited about change, I guess. Yeah, it almost seems like the younger audience, I guess, is more open to electric cars. Older isn't. It is sad. I don't know. I think the advantages of having power on all four wheels and having instant traction and instant torque, from zero is really appealing. And I've driven a Model 3, and it wasn't the performance, it was actually the mid model. So it's 0 to 60 on paper is like 4.5 seconds. And that thing felt so quick and so just like effortless and easy to drive that I can totally see the appeal of electric cars. I can totally see the appeal of this. That's actually one of the reasons why I missed the Scat Pack, is to me that was more of an old school muscle car than this one. The Scat Pack looked more muscle car, like old school. It drove more like one. I kind of didn't baby it as much as I do this car because the MSRP was more reasonable. Like there are certain things I miss about that car because it was more muscle car. And obviously the more we go towards electric and stuff like that, you're going to kind of get away from that. But I think change is progress in some ways, and there's always going to be somebody out there, some manufacturer, or even an individual that creates something so cool and different that the other companies may have to adapt to it. And that's what I'm excited about. What are your thoughts on the rumors of the supposed gal or ghoul? I think it's awesome. There's a 1,000 horsepower crate out there. What car would you want to put that engine into? Yeah, so from my understanding, that's an April Fool's joke that they did a couple years ago, and more people are talking about it. 1,000 horsepower crate engine. I think if they did do that, it would, now would be the time before everything goes electric, before regulation says you have to have certain MPG, and the fact that you could probably still get pretty decent MPG in a 1,000 horsepower car. I think the Challenger is the car that they should put that into. Challenger and Charger. Because that's kind of where they started it all, and I think that's what led them to put it into all the other cars. I think these two cars, the Challenger and the Charger, are the heart of Dodge, Jeep, and Chrysler. I'm sure I'm missing one right now. Ram. That's the heart of their performance section, is these cars. Now, each of those brands have their own strengths. Jeep is obviously an off-roading car, and it's extremely capable at that. But these two cars, the Challenger and the Charger, are the ones that kind of led that performance. And I think if they were going to put that 1,000 horsepower engine, they would have to put it into something like this, and then they could carry it over into the other brands. I don't know how that would work in like a TRX with 1,000 horsepower. That would be insane. I don't even know if it's possible, but the Challenger is what I would put that into. Let's see. I'm sure I missed some. Todd Watkins, I dig the name Possibles. Yep, for sure. Todd, I already picked the name for the Bronco, even though I haven't picked one for this, and that was your name. And you suggested I call it Goliath, and that's it. Like, there is no other names. The Bronco, when it comes to the channel, It's called Goliath, and that's thanks to you, Todd. You named it, and I'm going to give you credit for it, man, because that was a great name. PBR Doug, sorry I may have missed you already. You said good night. It's getting close to midnight here on the East Coast. Hey, thank you so much for tuning in, man. If I missed you, I'm sorry. If not, thanks so much. Enjoy your night. I appreciate you tuning in, and thanks for watching all the videos. Ibrahim said, which would be more suitable for daily driving, air suspension or coilovers? Wouldn't be driving on the best roads. My only gripe with air suspension is I haven't seen a single system that, over the course of several years doesn't leak. Over time, and I'm not even talking about aftermarket, even like ones that come from the manufacturer, a lot of these air suspensions over time, they just degrade and they're going to start leaking. I think probably from a daily driving perspective, since air suspension is adjustable, it's going to drive better than coilovers. But I think from a cost and like an ongoing maintenance perspective, I would go for coilovers. But it depends, I guess, if you're doing this as a daily car. It's just be prepared that, you're going to have to probably replace one or two of like the airbags over time, just because they're just not that reliable. Dominic Wantland, any recommendations of car YouTubers? Yeah, I've watched a lot of different ones. I really love the big ones that everybody knows of. Doug DeMuro, he does great car reviews, always some interesting stuff there. I really like Matt Moran Motoring. Watched him for a really long time. I watch, Racer X. He has a lot of, you guys are talking about Mopar content. He has a lot of it, and he continues to produce really good content and very consistent content over time. So I watch him quite a bit as well. I used to watch, like I said in the previous videos, Street Speed 717. I don't watch him as much anymore. To be honest, I really liked his content when it was like less vlog style, when he was like kind of talking about things you love about the Corvette and etc. And like he got the Hellcat on the channel. And then I started watching him less a little bit when he vlogs, but I do like the content he produces, like jumping the Ram TRX and destroying one. That was a really cool video, even though I would never do that myself. Definitely got some shock factors. So he had a Hellcat on the channel recently. He's doing that as a giveaway. So I've watched him. I got to give a shout out to the people who have supported me. Fast Gato, Rubix _3. They've watched my channel for a really long time, probably the last 2 years. They've been really supporting me, watching a lot of my videos, so I got to give a shout out to them. There's a lot of people who watch my channel that I'm not going to be able to give a shout out to, but overall, those are kind of the big channels that I watch. CSD AEV. Hopefully I said your name right, man. Can I get a shout out? Yep. Thank you so much for joining this live stream. If you're a subscriber, also thank you for joining and subscribing. Gone in 60. What up, my brother? Hey, what's going on, man? Thank you for joining. It's late here in Utah, so probably getting ready for bed, man. That's what I'm going to be doing after this. Congrats on the Bullet. Awesome car. I think, people get hate when they, if you guys don't know, Gone in 60 had a Challenger Scat Pack, made a ton of videos about it. He, if you guys haven't seen his release, he recently flew out, I can't remember where, it was like in the Midwest, picked up a brand new Bullet and drove it home, similar to what I did with the Hellcat. It was a really cool video. I really love the soundtrack he used in that video too. And, he was kind of worried people would kind of, unsubscribe because, you switch from a Scat Pack or Challenger to a Mustang. But I'm, optimistic about that, just like I am with electric cars. I think Mustang makes an amazing vehicle. I think Camaro makes, an amazing vehicle, and Challenger too. I think those are really great cars. And the Bullet is a fantastic vehicle. There's no denying there are advantages of the Bullet over the Scat Pack, and vice versa too. So thanks so much for joining, man. And I saw your car in passing once, but I can't wait to see it maybe in person someday here soon. Dominic, Donut Media has great informational videos. At least they did back in the day, about basic how-to car stuff, along with Money Pit on the same on that same channel. Yeah, Donut Media does really good stuff. I find them a lot on Facebook, like videos, more often than even on YouTube. And yeah, they talk a lot about cars and like the history of a certain car. They had a really good one on the Lexus LFA and why it failed, or didn't do as well as Lexus had hoped. Yeah, Donut Media does really, really good content. Specifically, Challenger Charger YouTubers, Dominic. Yeah, so Racer X, he had, or I think he recently sold, he had like 1,000 horsepower Hellcat. He has a Scat pack. He also has a Mustang. He does a lot of Mopar content. Fast Gato and Rubix _3, they do, they have, one of them has a Hellcat, the other one has an RT Challenger. Gone in 60, you know, he has a Bullet now, but he previously had a Scat pack. He made a lot of videos on that. So, you know, those are just some. I'm sure I'm missing one that I watch pretty often. I try to support as many people that watch my videos and comment. I try to go and watch theirs. Scavenger 1320. He has a 1320 Challenger. He does a lot of weight reduction videos, probably some of the best weight reduction content that I've seen on YouTube. And he's a really great guy. Check him out, as well as Hellraiser. He watches a lot of my videos as well. He has a not Plum Crazy. He has a Hellraiser Challenger wide body Scat pack, and he's new to YouTube, but he's done videos on that. So those two I really recommend as well. There's just a lot of great Challenger and Charger YouTubers. Todd Watkins, I'm open to electric cars, just not muscle cars. LOL. Yeah, I mean, that's a good point. You know, muscle car kind of implies there's a naturally aspirated, or, you know, maybe a supercharged or turbocharged big engine, internal combustion engine in there. And muscle cars could be a hard sell. I don't know. I'm interested to see what Dodge does with the electric craze. Are they going to keep a big engine with just a hybrid powertrain? You know, the Ram is an example where they put like an electric kind of engine on it that helps with a little bit of, I think, torque on the low end. I think that's a great system. I haven't heard any complaints about it, but maybe they do that similar to the Challenger and Charger. Junior, you said, oh geez, Mars speed. Maybe depend on why you'd like to know Dominic. Not sure I follow with that. Maybe, I'm guessing those are channels. And Dominic, you said, okay, thanks, Junior. Yeah, awesome. It's always fun doing these live streams where people kind of answer people's questions in the chat. I really appreciate that, because there's a lot of stuff that I don't know, and I'm the first to admit it. Daniel McNutty, what do you think of Scat Pack Charger? Better or worse than the Scat Pack Challenger? Good question. I'm just going to have some tea real quick. I'm impartial to Challengers. I love Challenger body style. It's definitely a more retro look, but the Charger looks really nice. It's, you know, you see them on the roads. They have a very distinct look. You know, when they first came out with the updated body style, I was kind of hesitant. I was like, I kind of like the ones that were a little bit boxier, but over time that's grown on me. It really depends on what you need. If you need 4 doors, I'd go for the Scat Pack, or I should say the Charger Scat Pack. If you don't, go for the Challenger. You know, in terms of options and what they kind of, the driving experience, they're very similar, pretty much based on the same platform. So there's not really going to be a difference on that aspect. I think that the Charger, at least when it comes to the Hellcat, the base Charger Hellcat comes with more options than the Challenger. Like, you can, if you opt out a Challenger Hellcat base, you're going to get cloth seats. If you get a Charger base in the Hellcat, you're going to get leather seats right off the bat. So, and there's also like memory seats on the Charger. So there's more from like a comfort perspective, but I don't know. You know, I don't know why they do it that way, but if you want a more true to heart looking muscle car, in my opinion, you go for the Challenger. But it's like picking between your kids. I mean, you can't, you know one's better, but it's kind of like, well, I'm not going to say it. Junior, you said, I love Racer X. Yeah, he has great content, and he's grown a lot in the last year, subscriber-wise. He's just exploded. Todd Watkins, thanks, bro, for props on the name selection for the Bronco. LOL. Yeah, man. Hey, thank you, because you came up with the name, and it's so fitting that I'm like certain that's the name of the car. Radies Rides is a good YouTube channel. I love Racer X too. Yeah, Todd, that's a good one. I've seen a lot of his videos as well, not as much recently, but I know he's had some wide body, I think, Scat packs and shaker as well on his YouTube channel just in like the last couple of weeks. So if you want some Challenger content, check him out. He does really detailed reviews, similar to like Matt Moran. Let's see. Ibrahim, good night, man. It's 7:52 a.m. and I got to sleep. Great stream. We'll sure be showing up to any other live streams. I appreciate it, man. Thank you so much for joining from the Emirates. That's a really far distance from where I'm at, so it's cool that I have someone out there that's supporting the channel. But have a good night, And yeah, get some sleep, and I'll catch you at the next live stream. Gun60, love your content, man. Best channel around. Thanks for shout out, my friend. Yeah, no problem, man. I appreciate it. I'm definitely not the best channel around. I'm learning day by day, but I do appreciate that. Thank you, man. And keep growing your channel. You know, a lot of it is just posting more and more videos, even if you don't, you know your content's good or you don't know it's good. You just got to post the videos and let the audience decide. So keep growing your channel. I know you'll get there pretty soon. You know, you're already above 2,000 subscribers. You know, that's a good sizable channel. Isaiah, rev the car, please. I would love to, man, but it's 10 o'clock at night, and my neighbors are like right here and here, so I don't want to do that to them, but I'm happy to do that in future videos. And if you want to see like a before and after, I did that in my exhaust muffler swap video. I did a lot of clips of the rev and before and after driving in it. So Daniel McKnight, Dominic, OC Motivator has some good stuff. He has a Challenger Hellcat that is getting a Scat Pack charger soon. Yeah, I have seen some OC Motivator stuff as well. I've seen his channel. I haven't watched too much of his videos, but he does have Mopar. Dominic Wantland, is Mopar just Dodge Ram affiliation? Yeah, I mean it's Dodge Ram. You know, anything under FCA, I guess. Yeah, not even FCA, because Alfa Romeo is not considered Mopar. But yeah, Dodge, Chrysler, Jeep, Ram, you know, Plymouth from back in the day. That is all under the Mopar umbrella. So it's kind of a synonym that people use. I think Mopar is it's like the motor parts manufacturer for, I forget the abbreviation, for Dodge, Ram, and Jeep. And so a lot of people just refer to it as Mopar. Like if you open the hood of the car, you'll see there are a lot of Mopar branded stuff. And so it's kind of it's a company under Dodge and Jeep and Chrysler, and so people just reference it as Mopar. Dominic, thanks, Daniel. Gun60, best around in my book. I appreciate that, man. Thank you. That means a lot. I try to keep making my videos better, and I learn through the process. So I appreciate you watching. I know you've been watching for a very long time. So in our Jeep, Dominic asked, in our Jeep, Ram, Dodge, and Chrysler all like subdivisions of Fiat, or how are they all connected? Yeah, so you know, over the years they've had different ownerships, and I feel like there's not any company that's not owned by somebody else. But Jeep was owned by AMC at one point. But yeah, Fiat Chrysler Automotive, you know, they own Fiat, obviously, Alfa Romeo. They kind of own Ferrari, but then they spun them off in a public offering. But they own them, but they don't really like manage the day-to-day. I don't think they kind of let them do their own thing. But yeah, Fiat. You know, Chrysler, under Chrysler umbrella, you have the Jeep, Dodge, Ram. Don't think I'm missing any other ones, but those are all under the Fiat umbrella. And now, as of, I think, 2021, it may have been late 2020, they merged with Peugeot, which is, I think, a French auto manufacturer, which also had some sub-cars or sub-manufacturers. And now they're all part of Stellantis. And so I imagine in the next generation of these cars, you're going to see some of the you know, same platforms that they use for Alfa or Peugeot cars, they're going to be using for the Challenger, similar to what they did back in the 2000s when Mercedes or Daimler merged with Chrysler. You know, a lot of these Challengers and Chargers, the frame or the platform that they base these cars off of are mid-2000s Mercedes. And so I imagine the next generation is going to be some of that part sharing with you know, FCA, specifically like Alfa Romeo, Fiat, and Peugeot as well. I literally just watched your 30+ features of the Dodge Challenger. Thanks for that. I'm planning to get one by the end of the summer. Isaiah, thank you. Yeah, that was a really big video, and even though my video quality was kind of crappy on that video, I was kind of dealing with poor lighting, middle of winter. I couldn't film it outside. I had to do it after work. So long story short, that video I put a lot of time into from a content perspective. And a lot of people are, you know, joined this channel because of that video. So I'm glad you liked it, and congrats on getting your car end of summer. Let me know if it's a new or used, and which one you're thinking about getting. You said Challenger, but like which trim? Dominic, does the Scat Pack Charger have a shaker hood? No. So you cannot get a shaker hood on the Charger. They reserve that strictly for the Challenger and only on the RT and the Scat Pack. I wish I could get on the Hellcat. You can't because the supercharger's there. And you can now, as of 2021, get it on the wide body. You can get a shaker hood. So that's pretty cool. I would love you to see you podcast. The way you talk about what people say is awesome. You give really great responses. I would definitely tune in that. Hey, I appreciate that, man. Yeah, that's kind of why I like to do these live streams is, when you do the video, it's kind of pre-planned, pre-filmed. Here I just like to chat with you guys because you're the ones that support the channel and help it grow. And so, if like a lot of you mentioned good ideas, podcast, vlogging, doing some videos aside from cars. I'll definitely take all of those into consideration. I I used to do some other stuff, and I had some podcast experience on that end, and I have a nice microphone, so maybe something I do. It'd be cool if I, got to meet some of you guys in person and we talk cars and we film it and do like a podcast. So I'll definitely explore it. So Carbon's Red Eye, hey, what's going on, man? I appreciate you tuning in. We follow each other on Instagram. Look at that beauty. Yep. Definitely nice site for sure. I do love, if you guys don't know, Carbon's Red Eye has a red eye, obviously, but it's in Destroyer Gray, and he recently got like airbags on it. So I think somebody was wondering earlier, Ibrahim, maybe you were wondering about airbags. I think he actually logged off already, but Carbon's Red Eye has airbags on his car, so maybe he can give you some much better advice than I can. And so, yeah, thank you so much for joining, man. We're probably wrapping up here because it's getting past my bedtime. I'm like an old man, but Dominic Wantland saying me too. I'm guessing you were talking about, the podcasting. Yeah, so maybe a future, podcast, or maybe I'll just put it up on YouTube and do something like that, just different types of content. Challenger used because I'm like 16 and working all summer for it, LOL. A used Challenger. Yeah, man, a 16, man, all power to you. You got to hustle sometimes and put work in, and if that's something you want to work for, I'm proud of you. That's awesome. That's kind of what I did when I got the Scat pack and stuff, and it's been a journey. So nothing wrong with going used. I did that on my Scat pack. You get, in today's market, it's kind of crazy, but typically you get a really good deal for a slightly used car. So yeah, go for it, man. Carbon's Red Eye anytime, buddy. I appreciate it. Isaiah, like a 2015 to a 2018. Yeah, so the updated body style. It's funny because, like, if you get a 2020 and a 2015, it's really hard to tell the difference. There's like really small differences between the two cars. So it's kind of like, it makes more sense to almost go for the older one because it's going to be cheaper. Dominic, if you're ever in Arizona, make sure to let it known. We're kind of next door neighbors. Yeah, for sure, man. I'm guessing you're in Arizona. I would love to meet up in real life. Yeah, I'd be happy to. I mean, if I ever, once kind of things settle down a little bit, I mentioned earlier in this live stream that I plan to do the racing experience, the SRT racing experience, and I believe that is in Arizona, or at least that's the closest one to me. And so I plan to go out in Arizona and do that. And if I do, I'm definitely going to shout it out and let people know. A few years ago when I went to the LA Auto Show, I did a whole kind of story thing on my Instagram. So if anybody was out there, they'd be able to see me. So if I travel and do stuff, I'll definitely make it known on the channel so you guys are aware of where I'm at. So Junior, all right, man, I'm tune out, let you go to bed. Thanks for the entertainment tonight and for giving me awesome responses. Hey, I appreciate it, man. Thank you so much for tuning in through the whole time and the last 3 live streams that I had that failed tonight. So for whatever reason, let's see, Isaiah, if you come to Cali, we racing our car, by the way. Sounds good, man. I am not very good at racing. I mean, I've only done drag racing a couple times, and so I definitely need to get the pedal to power ratio down right on the Hellcat because it just spins out. So sometimes if you get like a Scat pack, you may be able to beat a Hellcat because of the traction issue. But yeah, if I'm in California, I'll definitely let you know. Dominic, well, it's been fun, man. Thanks again for answering all my questions, and thanks chat too. Gonna head out now. See y'all later. Thank you so much, Dominic. I really appreciate you guys tuning in. That's what makes this experience fun. I'm probably going to call it a night as well. Start getting ready for bed. Tomorrow's a work day, so I'll call it a night unless there's some pressing questions you guys want to answer. I'll stick around for maybe another maybe 7 minutes or so tops. But feel free to throw those questions out right now, and I'll answer them as I finish up. I got this mug for my dog for Father's Day from my dog. It says, "Dear Dad, thanks for picking up my poop and stuff. Love, Lexi." So I love that little fur ball, but sometimes she really does test me. Carbon's later, buddy. Keep up the awesome work. Thanks so much, man. And hey, you too on Instagram. If you guys aren't following him already, make sure you check him out because he has a really awesome build. Todd Watkins, I'm glad I caught you, bro. Me too, man. I think this may be the first live stream we've chatted. Maybe not, but yeah, keep going and let me know what you decide on your SRT. Are you gonna do the wide body? You're gonna do the Hellcat, or are you just gonna keep it as is because it's an awesome car already? So I'm curious to see what you do on your Instagram page as well. If you guys aren't following him, I can never remember your Instagram name. I just remember you as Todd Watkins. So throw it down in the chat if you want people to join. So thanks so much for joining, man. It's been a fun night. I love chatting with you guys about cars and you know, Dodge in general, but I hope to bring more cars to the channel aside from just Dodge. You know, I try to do some reviews. I haven't had a chance to do as many car reviews as I did last year, but hopefully that improves over time. It's just been kind of there hasn't been that much inventory for me to review with the people that I have connections with. So, well, if that finishes off the chat, if nobody else has questions, we can wrap this up a little bit earlier. But again, huge thank you to everybody who tuned in. Next video will be out this Friday. And we're going to be talking about the Bronco. So I'm going to show off the event I went to last week, which has my first look at seeing a Bronco in person. I'll talk about my production dates and my plans and some of the stuff I talked about in this live stream. But for everybody else, that's the video that's coming out next. And then, yeah, Todd Watkins, Waddy SRT. That's right, man. I knew if I looked it up on Instagram, I'd find it. But if you guys aren't following him, he has an awesome SRT Challenger, so you guys can check him out. It's a really cool car. Thank you all so much. I appreciate it. Until next time, I'll try to do more live streams, but stay SchwayZ, my friends. See you later.